Welcome to this session. We are at PowerSet Mentors and we are here to share with you on matters to deal with great learning. And today we want to share with you on the character traits of great team members. Now, before we share, I would like to show you one of the books that I have authored. It's called Money, Music, and Monarchy. You can access it online. You will get the link for accessing that book online. You only get it and read it, then you can share on the contents that you've seen from that book. Now, how do you know that someone is a great team member? There are 4 or let's say 5 traits that show that you are a great team member. Number 1, you should be someone who has courage. Courage is one of the traits of a great team member. Number 2, you must be someone who has confidence. Confidence shows that you're a great team member. Number 3, you must have what you call control. You must be someone who can control himself or at least set boundaries for whatever he's doing. Control is a third trait of a great team member. Number 4 is commitment. And I usually say commitment is seen in routines. Someone who never misses appointments, who values each and every appointment they have with other great team members. That shows that you are a person who is valued, a good team member. And lastly, someone who has purpose in life. If you live a life where you don't have any purpose, you have no why in your life, then your life will be a miserable life. You will be living like an animal that needs to be directed on each and every day. And so those 5 traits show that you are a great team member. And I would like us to start with the first one, where we are talking about courage. You must have heard of these soldiers who are well acquainted, or they usually find themselves in the line of battle, or at least in the front lines of battle. And you know, every time you see they are fighting and the bullets are always flying over their heads, but they still continue and persist to stand by and to stick to their duty. What makes them to stand at such a time is what we call courage. It is said that courage is to your life what the muscle is to your body. And so you need, just the way you build your muscles, so also you need to build courage. How do you build courage? The first thing you need to do if you want to build courage, the first thing is expose yourself to vulnerability. What I mean by exposing yourself to vulnerability, there is that thing that you feel you fear. You don't like approaching it. You need to go to that thing and try it so that that fear can disappear. Expose yourself to vulnerability. It is said if you fear a bullet, then go to the battlefield. You'll see the bullets flying, and probably you will be safe after the bullets have flown. And so in the next round, when the bullets will be flying, you'll know that the bullets are there, but you still have a duty to do. Number 2, if you want to build courage, you have to educate yourself to understand the cause of vulnerability. How do you do this? You know, the moment you realize that you fear something and you realize what is it that is making you to fear, then you need to do some research. Find out some details that make you ignorant about the issue that creates or makes you vulnerable. Now, the moment you have discovered such details, at least you'll be building some courage to expose yourself to something that at least you have some acquaintance, you understand it to certain level. So by understanding the cause of vulnerability, you don't treat the symptoms, you go to the root cause of vulnerability. And number 3, the other thing that you need to do is always act promptly, even if the environment is not conducive. Some people would like to wait for the hindrances, for the obstacles to be removed on their way so that they achieve something. Now, you don't need to wait for the obstacles to be removed. What you need to do is stick, move. Even if it will take you long to go over the obstacles, you know, if you can't fly, you can run. If you can't run, you can walk. If you can't walk, you can crawl. By all means, you need to be moving forward over and conquering the obstacles. The obstacles may slow your pace, but if you have that vision of what you want, you need to move despite the obstacles. Something may happen so that the obstacles may be removed your way, so that you move at a higher speed and reach the goal that you want in life. Reaching that goal that you want in life is what will make you a successful team member. And so it's important that you build different types of courage in your life. Now, just an assignment that I want to give to you now that we are chatting our way forward. I would like you to make a list of the things that scare you. Make a list of all those things that scare you, and then slowly tackle one by one, each one of them. By tackling each one by one, channeling your energy to each and every aspect that you feel is making you scared, you'll find that you start small, you build up, and as you build up, you continue exercising until you become someone who is used to the challenges that are on your way as you build your courage. The different types of courage that we have physical courage, we have intellectual courage, and we have moral courage. Now, you build your physical courage by having a routine where you push yourself to the extremes as far as physical aspects is concerned. So you do some physical exercises. Now, if you're used to doing around 10 push-ups, now you continue building your courage by doing 15 push-ups. You can do 20 push-ups. So you build your courage on an incremental basis. And so you find that those push-ups, as time goes by, you increase them to even 50 to 100. And those who would like to build their physique, or they would like to have that courage, physical courage, those who play those games like taekwondo and those games like boxing, they have to build what we call physical courage. Probably you fear punching. Why don't you try doing a press-up on sand so that your punches are strong? Well, probably you fear running. Why don't you do a sprint so that at least your body gets used to moving from freeze to fire? So that way, you build your physical courage. Another thing that we have is intellectual courage. Intellect is something that we build using our 5 senses that act as stimuli, or they act as connectors towards the things we'd like to learn. So your eyes can be used for seeing, your nose for smelling, your ears for hearing, your mouth for speaking, or at least tasting. So those, or even your skin for touching. Now, those channels are used so that objects or images are created on our minds, on our mental. We have a mental picture of what takes place in our environment. And you can build your intellectual courage by being an avid reader. By reading, you build your intellect, you internalize concepts, you build new concepts from the concepts that have just been built by other people. By building new concepts from the concepts that have been built by other people, you end up coming up with new things. So you become an intellectual authority. And by being an avid reader, you also need to probe things. Don't just accept theories that some people have come up with without questioning the reasoning behind them, or the principles behind them. Apart from being an avid reader, you must be an inquisitive person, someone who can question things. Don't just wait to be spoon-fed by your teachers. You need to question, and question until you get answers to the real problems or the real principles behind every concept that you'd like to learn. And once you have those concepts, the next thing that you can do in order to build your intellect is to share with others. What I've learned is that the moment you share with another person, you learn more than the person whom you are teaching. And that is true. And so I realized this in a high school level when I was, although I was really not so good in mathematics, but it happened that I was given a book and I read it and understood and did a lot of practice, and my marks sprang up from 40s to 80s. Then, for around 2 terms, I was 80s and my colleagues are at 40s. They questioned me and asked, what is it that you do that you can spring up right from 40s to 80s? Now, when I started, I formed a mathematics study group, and then we started sharing on how those concepts are learned, and I told them the book that I was using. I managed to raise them to my level so that they also could score slightly below me and some even slightly above me. That way, by sharing, I developed that intellectual courage. So I was trusted as a person who can share with others in mathematics and even lead them from very low marks to very high marks. That's intellectual courage. So it's my request that you build your intellectual courage by being an avid reader, by questioning issues, and also by sharing what you've learned with others. Now, there's a third category of courage. I call it moral courage. Now, this moral courage, you can develop it by standing for what you believe, even in times of pains or when the environment is not conducive. That's why I love people like Mahatma Gandhi, people who had moral courage. They had no weapons to fight, but they had the moral courage which they showed, and they transformed the society despite the fact that they had no state machineries to do it. Through moral courage, you can transform the lives of others. That means you have to be very authentic. You must have your convictions right, and you must stick with your convictions if at all you want to have moral courage. Stick by it as long as it is a conviction that is reasonable and that has gone through tests and challenged. Then you stick by it until people see the importance of that conviction and they turn and you move a wide team, a huge team towards your convictions. Now, apart from those three, the physical courage, the moral courage, the intellectual courage, there is what we call the courage to be great. Now, the courage to be great, this is driven by that purpose motive. It's something that you want to achieve in life. So, you influence people based on your convictions until you move them, you become a great. And being great demands that you have the features that we have been learning through and we are continuing to learn. So it's my prayer that we be team members who can work with others based on building courage. Be courageous, never fear anything, never flinch, stand your ground. Otherwise, I wish you the best. Please like our videos down there. You can also subscribe to our channel, and I promise you that we will share much that will change your lives. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.